Hello everyone, I hope life is treating you kindly. I'm Lubomira and welcome to all my crafty friends new and returning. I'm so excited. I look forward to creating this series all year long because it's my favorite time of the year. If all goes well, I'll be sharing a new holiday project each day for 12 days, making this my 12 days of Christmas in November. That's right, 12 days of crafting goodness. I love the holidays and nothing puts me in the spirit of the season like making these cards. I hope this series brings you as much joy watching as it does me creating it. Today is day one of this holiday series, and the first card I'm sharing is special. I'm going to show you a fun, interactive card that doesn't require any special dies and is simple to put together as far as interactive cards go. It has a very simple hidden tab that you pull to reveal a hidden message. I'm excited to show you this card, so let's get into the video. Before creating the interactive parts, I first worked on the other elements like the background and the die cutting for the focal parts of this card. I started with ink blending a stencil background using some Distress Oxide inks in the colors Kitsched Flamingo, Salvaged Patina, and Twisted Citron. I used the Pretty Pink Posh layered present stencil. I like the option of not having to use all the layers when working with these stencils. Very often, the way these types of stencils break down the design, you have the option of leaving out a layer. In this case, I'm only using the boxes and the bows. I didn't want the background to take away from the focal of the card, and you'll understand as I go along. I taped down the first stencil over a 6x6 panel and quickly added color, starting with the pink, then moving to the blue-green, and then finally into the green. For the bow layer, I added darker tones of the earlier colors to make the bows darker. I used the colors Picked Raspberry, Peacock Feathers, and Lucky Clover. I added these colors in the same way I had the earlier layer. When I was done, I added a layer of glitter gel with a palette knife over the bows to add a shimmery finish. I removed the stencils immediately after I was done and set the panel aside to dry. I also cleaned the stencils right away so that the gel didn't have time to dry.
So I can hold their hand while we're ice skating around the tree in Central Park. Kiss them under the mistletoe. Oh, I want a Christmas kind of spark. Santa Claus, do you know Cupid sent his arrow straight to my heart? Waterfall in love this Christmas. Santa, that would be the greatest gift of all.
For the focal part of the card, I created a stack of presents using the Pretty Pink Posh Build a Gift die set. I used a number of different colored cardstocks to coordinate with the background colors. I die cut all the box shapes and the silhouette of the bows from each color and then die cut several ribbon and bow details from white glitter cardstock. Now, I didn't end up using all the colors and pieces I die cut, and while I wouldn't mass produce this final card, I could have easily used the leftover pieces for a simpler version. Once the ink blended panel was dry, I trimmed it down to a standard A2 card panel measuring 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches. To create the mechanism, I first cut a white panel of cardstock to measure 3 by 4 1/4 inches. I basically trimmed a standard panel by 1 1/4 inch from the top and the side. Next, I cut a horizontal slit into the panel about 1 1/4 inches from the top of the panel. I used one of the presents, the largest of the boxes, to measure and mark 2 points slightly smaller than the width of the die cut. Using a straight edge to connect the points, I cut the slit into the panel using a precision blade. I created the mechanism tab next. The tab has to be able to fit into the slot and move easily in and out. I trimmed the tab to be about 1 3/4 inches wide and about the same length as the panel with the slot. I wasn't too concerned with the length of this tab at this point because I'd be cutting it down later after I added the sentiment. To prevent the tab from falling out or being pulled out of the slot, I added a stopper. I simply took a thin strip of cardstock and glued it to the bottom of the tab so that the tab had little protruding wings. I wrapped the strip around the tab, first using one of the die-cut gift boxes to measure how wide the strip had to be to stick out so that the tab would remain in place. I wrapped the strip around to give the wings a little more stability and strength. That way, they were less likely to rip if pulled too hard. I secured everything into place using liquid glue. Using foam tape, I created a channel for the tab to rest in on the back of the mechanism panel. I made sure that the tab had room to move in and out through the slot freely without getting snagged in the channel. I placed the foam tape on each side of the tab, along the bottom, and above the slot, making sure not to accidentally tape the tab down. Next, I removed the tab and stamped my greeting along the bottom of it, slightly above the stopper wings. I used a Hero Arts greeting from the Holiday Message Stamp set. I chose the greeting, "Enjoy all the gifts of the season." I thought this sentiment went really well with this particular card. I stamped the words in black pigment ink and then heat embossed them with clear embossing powder. I applied the powder to the wet ink and set it with my heat tool. I moved on to assemble the different die-cut layers, gluing the polka dot tops over the solid boxes. I used glue to attach the layers and kept the color combinations simple by pairing light and dark shades of the same color together.
Santa, I've been good this year.
I put the sliding tab back into its housing and began placing the decorative elements on the front of the panel. I started by putting a large purple box along the bottom of the opening for the tab, making sure I didn't seal the opening or the tab with any type of adhesive as I worked. I used a combination of glue and foam squares to add all the boxes. When it came to the placement of the boxes, I wanted the gift in the back to look like the largest box. I placed the gifts in the front of it so that it appeared taller than the boxes in the front.
I don't need a fancy watch. You can give the elves a break. No, you can't make it in the shop. You can't put it on your sleigh. You know me so well that nobody else can do what you do. I just wanna fall in love this Christmas. I just wanna fall in love. The wrapping paper, your ribbon and bow. I don't need that extra stuff.
I custom sized a small green gift box by trimming one of the larger boxes into a smaller one. And I also created a custom lid to hide the tab and be part of the pull handle by trimming a strip of purple cardstock to be slightly wider than the purple gift and thick enough to fit a piece of foam tape behind it. Before adding the lid to the tab, I trimmed the tab slightly from the top, as I mentioned earlier. I pushed the tab completely inside the housing and used a pencil to mark where the opening began on it. I removed the tab from the panel and using my trimmer, I cut it down about ½ an inch higher than the mark. I prefer having too much tab than too little. You can always go back and trim more if there is too much. I returned the tab to the mechanism and pushed it completely inside. I placed a piece of mint tape to hold it in place temporarily as I added the lid to the front. I placed a piece of foam tape across the top of the tab right above the opening. I was careful to make sure that the foam tape was only on the tab and didn't adhere to the rest of the panel. I removed the release paper from the foam and attached the custom lid to the foam tape. Now I have a box with a lid which I can slide open. After the lid was in place, I trimmed the small amount of tab that was still sticking out from behind it with scissors. I finished the front of the panel by adding the last green gift to the bottom of my stacked gifts and decorating the boxes with bows and glitter ribbon. I attached my ink blended panel to a white card base using liquid glue. When the card base was ready, I added the mechanism to the front of the card, being careful that the tab stayed inside the channel and didn't end up pinched by the foam adhesive. As I made this card, I constantly checked to make sure that the tab was working correctly and that I hadn't mistakenly added glue or adhesive to prevent it from moving. I was pretty satisfied how this card turned out. I didn't feel like it needed any more shine, so to finish it, I stamped "Pull Here" above the gift lid in black pigment ink. And that's it for this card. I really love how this card came out. One of my favorite parts about this card is that while I made it for the holidays, you could easily change it for a birthday or wedding with the right greetings and some color adjustments. To the recipient, the card definitely has a fun wow factor with the pull tab, appearing to be very elaborate. Meanwhile, the mechanism is actually very simple to put together without the use of any special dies. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me today for the first day of this holiday series. I hope you enjoyed this video. I appreciate you stopping by and spending some crafty time with me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, leave me your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing what you have to say. I hope you'll join me tomorrow for day 2 of the holiday series. Until then, have a wonderful night, and I hope life treats you kindly. See you soon. Bye.